Every day, Americans are writing checks for telecommunication services. Ask the people who are providing those services, what do you charge and what goes into those prices? Hi, and welcome to another 5 Minutes with Harold Feld, where we take incredibly boring, highly technical things and try to make them slightly less boring and easier to understand because this stuff is important. I am now going to tell you about something so insanely technical, so mind-numbingly boring, that its name doesn't even mean anything. It's called special access. Now, what the hell is special access? I mean, that sounds like it should be something, secret passageway into your telecommunication system. It's not. Special access is what businesses and competing telecommunications companies pay in order to get access to the underlying wires and fiber on the wholesale side that make it possible for there to be competition in the first place. So anytime somebody wants to sell you a competing T1 line, or you as a business want to buy some high capacity lines or lease out use of the high capacity lines, that's a special access thing. Special access is supposed to be regulated to make sure that it's affordable, because everybody who relies on any kind of broadband or telecommunications for any kind of business, which is to say everybody, depends at some level on special access. And that's why, despite the fact that this is so insanely complicated and boring, it's real important. Right now, the FCC is taking a look at the special access market. It got deregulated along with most everything else back at the beginning of the last decade on a theory that things were going to be so wildly competitive that it didn't matter that Verizon, Qwest, and AT&T, the traditional phone companies, had most of the lines, because it was just going to be a snap for people to put up new lines. Well, reality hasn't worked out very well. In 100 markets in the United States, the ones that are supposedly the most competitive, there is no way to know what prices you're supposed to be paying, what prices people are actually paying, because everything's under secret agreements. In the next 100 markets, you have pretty much the same problem. Companies have to put up some prices, it's a little more regulated, but the fact is the market there is not working and there's no way to know. Here's why it really matters. Every time you buy anything that touches on telecommunications, you're basically paying a monopoly tax if the special access market doesn't work right. Anytime you buy internet access from somebody, if you're a business, if you're buying web hosting and webinar capacity or whatever it is that you're doing, if you're using a cell phone and your company like Sprint or T-Mobile relies on those special access lines to take the information from the tower back to the cloud so that you can use your smartphone, all of that depends on special access. When the special access market isn't working right, you pay more. It's like when the price of oil goes up. Nobody buys oil by the barrel. But when the price of a barrel of crude oil goes up, it affects everything and everyone. The FCC is doing a process now to take a look at the special market. They're trying to come up with a framework of how do we analyze this. We here at Public Knowledge think that this is really a very straightforward question. The FCC has authority to ask the providers, Qwest, Verizon, AT&T, other providers who are providing this special access service, what are you charging everyone? Are you charging everyone similar prices? And how do those relate to cost? If the FCC finds out that providers are getting 50, 75% profit margins on their special access lines, and that they're charging competitors outrageously more than they're charging people who don't have services that compete with the services that the providers are providing, we know something's wrong. Maybe the special access market is as competitive as the telephone companies tell us that it is. But we don't think that the FCC needs to sit around asking itself, well, how would I determine that? Do I go and I look at all of the possible competitors? Do I look over here to try to figure it out? Do I do it on a cost-based, amortizer? This is simple. Every day, Americans are writing checks for telecommunication services. You go and you ask the people who are providing those services, what do you charge and what goes into those prices? And if it turns out that those prices are outrageously high because there's no competition and because there's no way to find out what the wholesale prices are, then the FCC needs to step in and make it right.